Hey guys, welcome to another video. This is a reaction video, but it is slightly different. It was something that I believe flared up over Facebook about 6 months ago, so it's pretty old news now. The whole reason that I am reacting to it is because it pertains to a medical condition that I actually have. So the medical condition that I have actually been diagnosed with is dissociative identity disorder. Now, I'm not going to go into the lines of educating people about dissociative identity disorder. There are plenty of channels out there, really good ones, that will do that for you, like D.I.D, Multiplicity and Me, the others. But if you would like to see a video on D.I.D and how it affects us in general as a system, I'll happily do that. Now, I know this video caused, I haven't actually seen the video, but I know it caused a lot of controversy. I believe she called some people out. Apparently she gives a lot of false information, and most people says that she is faking it. Now, I'm not going to say if somebody is faking a condition or not. If somebody is, then that is really, really bad, because it makes other people that actually have the condition, it gives us a very negative side on it, and the stigma to mental health is already so bad that it does not need to be made any worse. And if somebody is faking a mental health condition, I think underneath all that, then they must have some sort of mental health condition in order to want to fake that, whether it be for attention, a cry for help. So we're going to get into it. Hopefully it's not going to make me angry. And if I think that she says something's wrong, then obviously I will correct it. I hope you like this video, and if you do, please don't forget to subscribe. It only takes 1 second to hit that subscribe button and help a girl out. And let's get into it, guys. And just before I start the video, if you can hear that noise in the background, I do sincerely apologise. It is my washing machine, as I'm having to wash my clothes, because we all need clean clothes to wear, Gotta keep that hygiene up, guys. So I'll whack the volume up so you can hear the video.
Hey guys, what is up? So today I am doing a video which I feel like is a surprise to some, but I feel like once you know, it's probably not that big of a surprise to others, and that is a Meet My Alters video. If you guys don't know what an alter is people that have multiple personalities, dissociative identity disorder, which I've actually talked about quite frequently. I feel like this is another video that's going to come up and people are like, oh, Trish, you're jumping on another video.
Right, so off the bat, straight away, she said multiple personalities and dissociative identity disorder. For people that are watching, if you got confused why she said both, was that it was originally called multiple personality disorder, and the name got changed to dissociative identity disorder because the health professionals realised that the disorder was nothing to do with one's personality. It was to do with the act of dissociation. Now, everyone suffers dissociation. It's completely normal. So say you're reading a book and you're really into it, and you get to, I don't know, chapter 10, and you look at the time and it's like, crap, I've been reading for 2 hours. That only felt like half an hour. Yeah, it's a form of dissociation. Or people that drive. You're finishing work, you're tired, you get in your car, you drive home, you don't really have any memory of the drive home, but you've made it home. People call it autopilot. That's a form of dissociation, and that is completely normal. Everyone experiences some type of dissociation from time to time. The only time it becomes a disorder is if it severely affects your life in a negative way. Now, there are several different types of dissociative disorders. We are specifically talking about dissociative identity disorder. And in order for you to develop this condition, you have to develop it before the brain is fully coalesced together. So I believe that they say you have to develop it before the age of 7, so you develop it as a child, and it is a trauma-based condition. So severe neglect, emotional abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse. Some children that go through things like that will develop dissociative identity disorder, and some children will not.
And we're going to try to do this. In actuality, I've talked about it plenty of times. I've talked about it on a TV show, even Rails TV, where I was doing a it was like a documentary thing on Marilyn Monroe, and I went to like the place where she had her first photo shoot at Zuma Beach, and I was talking about D.I.D there. I dated a girl who also had D.I.D, and we talked about it a lot there. She has alters, multiple personalities, and yeah, I feel
so alters is for different types of states. Some people call them personalities. I don't call them personalities. There are several of us. We are all parts of the same person, and the different parts of us make up a whole.
I feel like it's something that I don't necessarily delve into or even talk about. I definitely tell people in my real life. So many people ask, do you have a disorder? Are you diagnosed with something? Are you bipolar? Are you schizo? And I'm like, honestly, I've never been diagnosed with anything. The closest thing that I have self-diagnosed myself, I guess, is multiple personality disorder or dissociative identity disorder, or both, because there's some differences, there's some similarities, and some people just think they're like all same or all completely different. For me, I consider them quite similar, but I think my disassociating comes differently than in the form of my alters. So I feel
right. So, like I said in the previous thing, dissociative identity disorder and multiple personality disorder are not two separate things. They are the same thing. It's just multiple personality disorder was the old name for it, and dissociative identity disorder is the new name for it. And yes, people experience their dissociative states differently from one system to another system. But they're not two separate conditions. They are the same condition. They were just given different names at different points in time.
I feel like the alters are my multiple personality, my family dissociativeness is in a different realm, but it usually only takes place, I guess, under Trixie, which I do, I guess that's disassociating because like another alter is coming to the front. This is not something that like I don't want to scare people, and in general, I guess I don't really tell people the extent of it. My own shell, Trish. Unfortunately for me, Trish, I never really formed my own personality. I always thought I kind of was like taking other people's personalities or borrowing or becoming like my friends or becoming like my boyfriends or becoming around the person I'm around, which I still do to a certain degree. And I feel like Trish, if anything, disassociates the most without.
Right, with what she's stating there, she never sort of really developed her own personality, and that she's taken on the personality of like the people she's with at the time. So whether she's with her friends or a boyfriend, she takes on their states of personality. That is a disorder. It's called what's it called? Because I was actually diagnosed with it originally before I was given the D.I.D diagnosis. BPD, borderline personality disorder. It's where you don't have a true sense of self, so you take on the characteristics and the properties of the people that you're around with at that time. A bit like a chameleon that changes colours.
Disassociating, if that makes sense. So people know me as Trish, like they see me as eccentric, they see me as something different every day, and I feel like yes, I disassociate I guess you could call it that, into Trixie, one of my alters, but in actuality, I disassociate in general by becoming who I'm around. And I feel like that's very noticeable. When I was in England, I started having like an English accent, and I don't think everyone with D.I.D has this. I don't think everyone with multiple personality disorder has this. I don't think they just become someone else. I think Trish likes to. I think me, I never was able to develop my personality. That's fine because I have.
Yeah, so it's definitely sounding that she more likely has PPD. Not that I'm a professional in any sense of the word. I am not. This is just my own opinions, and I may definitely be wrong. Yes, with dissociative identity disorder, you have dissociation and you have switches from alter to alter. And each of the alters are different in their own way. Some systems have very extreme differences between their alters, that when they switch and another alter comes out, you instantly recognise that it's a different person. That is actually only covers about, I would say, 5 to 10% of people that have dissociative identity disorder. The other 90 to 95% have the covert version, where unless when they switch they say, hey, I'm this person now, or you've known them for a long time and you can pick up on the subtle differences that you know that they've switched into a different person, which is what we have. We have covert D.I.D, not overt D.I.D. And yes, there are switches and different alters come out, and they are their own people with their own likes and dislikes and thoughts and feelings and memories. But say whenever I come out, because in my videos I believe I've introduced myself as Caroline, I'm actually an alter called Amber, whenever I'm out, my own individual personality doesn't change from one day to the next. So the personality that I have today, if I come out tomorrow, my personality will be exactly the same as for the others. They've got their own personality, which is different to the rest of us, but each time they come out, they have the same personality.
Others that are there. And unfortunately, I'm someone who can't just choose. And if anything, I don't talk about it a lot because I'm not as in tune or as in touch with my alters. I know when I feel it. I know, for instance, T, who I've actually talked about before on this channel. I can't remember what the video title was.
You're counting down the seconds until you can skip the ad, right?
Ads.
I get it. But what if you never had to watch an ad again? What if you had a browse?
It was when I was like not identifying as a boy or a girl. This was before my trans video. Someone I'm sure will be able to find it and leave it in the comments below. But yeah, I definitely wanted to go by T. Like I didn't want to be a human. And T comes from... It's so funny because like I talk about them, but I'm talking about them as me. And it's like, I don't know. It's like, I guess they don't come to the forefront as who they are, but I think of T in my head and I'm like, oh, this is T right now. This isn't me. But like if they just don't come to the forefront. I've watched a lot of videos of this recently. Most recently, obviously, Anthony Padilla did this, and I was like, oh shit, like I really wish I knew when they were coming to light. Like I know, and sometimes it's minutes. Sometimes it's like a minute and then it's gone, or sometimes it's like a full day and I'm in that. But T is definitely the protector, is definitely non-human, is definitely not of this world, and so it's not really him or her. It's T, and T is the one that always like has like, I say he, but like, because in my mind it's he, but it's not, is the one to be the strength, be the confidence. Everyone's like, Trish, how do you have so much confidence? It's like, well, it's T taking over Trish, because like what you guys see is Trish. Like this is, hi, Trish. If you go to my Instagram, it's at Trish Paytas. But yeah, but definitely prefer T all the time. And he comes and goes, and there's that. today Trixie decided what we were wearing. Trixie has been my twin since, Trisha's twin since 7 years old, maybe even before. My earliest recollections is 7, and I would tell people about Trixie, and people did not believe me. I came back to my mom, and my mom was like, she doesn't have a twin, like, I don't know what this is. And I talked about Trixie from about 7 to 10 before people were like, you don't have a twin, what are you talking about? But Trixie is definitely my twin, and when I stopped talking about her, we stopped. I feel like Trixie's trauma began at 10, and that's when I stopped talking about her. So I feel like Trixie kind of just got stuck in that, and I feel like some people say I live in my own fantasy world, or I need to grow up, and Trixie is that one. And like, again, I know this sounds like weird because I watched people with the same, it's not a feeling, it's the same.
Another
All you need to launch a
really.
culinary empire. Tools you claim everyone has in their kitchen.
Struggle? I don't know how to describe it. To me, I don't consider it a disorder, but the same beings inside of them, and they're able to more come to the light. And I don't know if mine come to the light necessarily in voices or mannerisms. Sometimes, and it's like I said, it's like I can't just sit down now and be like, all right guys, come to the center.
Right, I may be completely wrong, but I am going to say this with her, with coming into the light situation. I do kind of feel that she picked up on that from a movie called Split, which I have seen. I've seen all 3 of them films in the series. And the fella's name that has dissociative identity disorder in that film, he states that when another alter wants to come forward, then they walk into the light, and I kind of think that she may have picked that up as a way to describe it. If I was to describe the way we come forward, it has absolutely nothing to do with the light. And she said that she doesn't think it's a disorder. So if I've been diagnosed with dissociative identity disorder, if it didn't affect my life in any meaningful, impactful, negative, destructive way, then it wouldn't be classed as a disorder. So you would, it's only classed as a disorder if it has a very negative impact on your life, or it's really affecting your life, that things that seem normal to some other people aren't so normal to you. So I have a disorder. It does affect our life in a very, very major way. With sometimes even simple tasks can end up being dangerous depending on who is fronting at that time.
I think that is just more evident by just looking at my different videos. And so many people will joke in the comments like, what Trish are we getting today? In actuality, you are getting different personalities inside of Trish. So this sounds crazy. I sound like I am losing my mind.
Could be.
Because when I watch other people talk about it, I'm like, they're crazy. Like, I watched the Anthony Padilla one, and
she didn't just say that. No. She did not just say that.
And so many people will joke in the comments like, what Trish are we getting today? In actuality, you are getting different personalities inside of Trish. So this sounds crazy. I sound like I'm losing my mind. Because when I watch other people talk about it, I'm like, they're crazy. Like, I watched the Anthony Padilla one, and
she actually did. Right, that's made me really, really angry. Right. With any, and I mean any type of mental health issue, not just to do with DID, whether it's DID, BPT, depression, anxiety, PTSD, whatever you have, or whatever another person has, you never, ever call them crazy. Never. because they have this condition and they can't help having these conditions. Something has happened in their life that is usually very, very traumatic and hurtful and soul crushing that has caused them to have these conditions. They didn't wake up one day and go, oh, suddenly I've decided I want to have DID, or oh, I've decided I want depression, or oh, I've decided I've wanted PTSD. Anyone who has any of these conditions will tell you that they may have gotten used to living with it and they may like having the condition now, but they wouldn't want that condition and they wouldn't wish that condition on anyone else. And they are most certainly not crazy. People like us who have these different types of conditions, I actually consider us strong, because we have had horrific things done to us, absolutely horrific things done to us, and we have managed to survive and continue on with our lives to the best of our abilities. We are by far not crazy. We are strong people that have survived incredible odds that have been against us. Now that has made me really, really angry, and I now instantly dislike her. I'm sorry for ranting on about that. You're going to have to give me a second. I'm going to have to take a break a minute. That has made me really, really angry. That is actually triggering. I'll come back in a bit and explain by what I mean from that. So sorry for the cut in this video. I just need 5 minutes, guys, okay? Thank you. I've gone away for 10 minutes, had a fag, made myself a cup of tea, calmed myself down. I was going on a bit of a rant there, and let's get back into it, guys, and I apologise for my rant.
There's a girl, Dissociative or something, I think his name, she's British, and like I watched it and I was like, oh, like she seems crazy, but I know that's like what I sound like now, which is actually like really, really scary.
Actually, it's not scary, it's wrong. Not only have you called people with mental health conditions as crazy, you've actually called out a specific person and called them crazy. Now, I have seen Dissociative's videos. They are very entertaining, but they are also extremely educational. That system knows what they are talking about, and it is a very important tool that we need more people talking about these conditions and educating people as a way to end the stigma, because people are always afraid of the things they don't understand, and if you can teach the masses and get them to understand, then they're not going to be afraid and you can end that stigma. She is completely wrong there. 1, for calling that person out, and 2, for calling them crazy. That's wrong.
But I'm just trying to explain, again, this is pretty much self-diagnosed, but it's something that I definitely have distinct names for all my personalities, and like I always just thought of myself, oh, I'm just Trish, but that's not the reality.
People say that she doesn't have the condition because she's only self-diagnosed. There's, I suppose, it's a bit of a double-edged sword. Self-diagnosis is, you're not sure what's going on with you, you do some research, you come across something that truly speaks to you, and you're like, well, this is me. You know, I must have this condition. And you may rightfully so have it. And then there are people that sort of want to jump on the bandwagon and they can search up these things and try and put these characteristics in when they're doing these videos to try and portray that they have these types of conditions. Now, I have been diagnosed. I was diagnosed last year. I was in therapy. Had a lot of therapy. I was the complete opposite. I was told that, nope, this is the condition you have. I did not want to believe it. As Dad went, nope, I haven't got a clue what you're about. I don't have that condition. It's not me. And it took many months of self-reflection and working with the therapist in order for me to accept and acknowledge the fact that I have this condition. And it's different for everybody. I think the hardest part for me is having to come to terms with the fact is that I am an alter. The person, if you want to call it the core person, the person that was born in this body is Caroline. And many years ago, I came out. I was completely unaware of Caroline. I was completely unaware of the other alters that existed. I had absolutely no idea. I thought that this was me, this was my body, this was my life. I was living it. And I was completely oblivious for many, many years. And it's a hard thing to come to terms with, to find that you are actually an alter. And that this wasn't my body, and this wasn't my life. I was living somebody else's life inside somebody else's body. But just because somebody has self-diagnosed does not mean that they don't have the condition. You just have to be very, very careful with self-diagnosis, because it's a double-edged sword.
Of it, like, there is other personalities inside. I'm not always confident, that's T. I'm not always strong, that's T. So there's also two other twins that live in the Trish shell, and that's Tyson and Tierney. And Tyson is very much my sensitive emotionalness. I feel like he doesn't come around as much anymore due to trauma that happened last year. And I feel like that's when he kind of got cut off from showing more in the front, presenting himself more. And also that has to do with Tierney, who is, it's just weird to talk about like other people as if they're like not here, but they're like there. Tierney's catty, slutty, lies a lot, but mostly for attention, never ill-willed. And Tierney's the only one that has defined sexuality. T doesn't have a gender, but is considered to be asexual, as opposed to Tierney is homosexual. And he struggles with that and picks on...
I would say asexual. I wouldn't say is that you don't have any sexuality whatsoever. I tend to think that more with asexual is having sex with somebody, doing the naughty things. It doesn't have any appeal to them. It doesn't do anything for them. It's like, happily live the rest of their life and never have it. It doesn't do anything for them. But asexual people that I know, they still like companionship and to have the intimacy via talking and hugging and comfort. And that is a type of sexuality in a way. It just doesn't involve sex.
Tyson a lot, because Tyson has feminine qualities, also struggles with gender identity like Trish. So yeah, so I think just the picking on was a lot. And yeah, and unfortunately Tierney comes out quite often. The catty side has subsided like the older we get. But still, like, in the promiscuity has subsided a little bit the older we get. The lying has subsided, and it feels almost like he's dying in a weird way, and it's like really sad because he's scared Tyson away, and now Tyranny, and they're twins, you know. So it just kind of gets like scary. And it's almost like when you start feeling like someone's dying within inside of you, like one of your personalities, it's like you're dying or you're losing someone. It's really hard to explain. So I feel like sometimes my onslaught of depression comes from that. It's just like missing those two very important people.
Well, there was a major cutscene now. And another ad.
Shark strike. Ha! Jellyfish.
It's so weird to talk about this because, like I said, I'm not able to present on demand. Like, I woke up and Trixie was in control and to the light, and I love her so much, and I care about her so much, and I care for her so much, like so much. But it's like, I feel like Trish is definitely the performer and definitely the entertainer and the presenter, and Trish is the one who kind of takes in all the identities and personalities and be like, I'm just kind of eccentric, or that's just me, or it depends on how I'm feeling, or definitely likes to put us down more so because there's just, I don't know how to explain it. People want to like label me something, and I think some people confuse it with like schizo, but yeah. So the one that I've known the longest is Travolta. And Travolta came to me.
She's saying schizo, guessing she means schizophrenia. I don't know much about schizophrenia, to be fair. I've never had any reason to do any research on it. But from what little bits that I've gathered over the years, I think what's different between schizophrenia and D.I.D, because they are two completely different things, is... Sorry, somebody's talking to me inside my head. So that's where it may get confusing, is the voices. So with D.I.D, yes, I can hear voices, the others can talk to me, as one was just doing, but the voices are inside my head, and there is a whole virtual world then, I suppose, inside my head, where we all reside, and we can communicate with each other. Some I can communicate with better than others. With some alters there is severe amnesia. And I believe with schizophrenia, yes, they hear voices, but they are voices that are outside. So it's like a person is, like an evil person is stood next to them, telling them to do things. And badgering them and say, oh, you want to do this and you want to do that and you want to be this way. And it's an external force with schizophrenia, I believe, whereas with D.I.D it's an internal source. I may be wrong on that. If I am, please let me know, because obviously I don't want to give false information, but I believe that's what makes the two parts different, obviously, along with schizophrenia's not having alters. They don't have alters. I'm just purely talking about it gets confused because of the voices.
As sort of an invisible friend, I guess, at first. Everyone thought he was my invisible friend.
There was nothing wrong with having an invisible friend. And, most children have them. It's normal.
He has been always with me, and he is the one that has the eating disorder and can't control our eating, I guess you could say. It's really crazy because I can control my eating, and then when Travolta comes around, it's very like I need to eat every single food because he's like, I haven't been able to enjoy any of the food we've eaten. So he comes around like right after I've eaten, and then he's like, I'm starving, I'm hungry. Or I'll come around when I'm trying to diet and be like, I'm starving, I'm hungry. In general, we all take really good care of our body, but Travolta just wants to keep eating and eating and eating, and that is literally his personality is food. And
sorry, I apologise. My phone going. I will be cutting out this conversation. Hi, sorry about that. I had to cut that out. That was a phone call off my boyfriend. We're in a long distance relationship. Only get to see him like once a week. Yeah, and obviously, you know, I don't want to broadcast our private conversation onto YouTube. So I've cut that bit out. And yeah, let's get back into it.
Other than like he just can't stop eating. Like, it's just that is his personality. That's all he wants to do. He doesn't want to watch TV. He doesn't want to have a hobby. And he only comes to the front when it's time to eat, even if it's not time to eat. So if I'm sad, if I'm happy, if I'm disassociating, and unfortunately, we all have to eat and we all share the same body, but for some reason it's almost like he's very not human, because he doesn't get full and he doesn't understand the concept of life in general. Like,
right, so she's saying he's more like he's not human because this so-called older eats and eats and eats and never seems to get full. So to me, that's just basically that she said that somebody with an eating disorder, whether it be like anorexia or bulimia, and there are other ones out there that can eat and eat and eat, and they never get full. They're always hungry. I've forgotten what the condition is called. She's basically calling them people as if they're not human. They are human. They have a condition. Like, get your facts straight. Like, if you're going to do a video like this, at least know what you're talking about.
You know, we all like understand what we do, and that's cool. Like, I think we get it. Trish is our performer. But definitely we all have says in it. We all have says. We all have say-sos in it. And Travolta is the only one who just does not like performing. Like, even when Trish, do mukbangs, Travolta won't come around. He'll come around after. And sometimes I'll be like, oh, now I gotta order food for him because he's hungry. It's very, very weird and very scary, where it's like, even if I'm not hungry, like my body's not hungry, like when he comes to light, we eat. And it's very, very weird. And it's very bizarre. And I don't even know if that's considered a personality, but Travolta has been an invisible friend before. Travolta is someone I think about, I dream about, I see vividly. And it's my struggle. And I've actually, it's been the only sort of alter that I put a name to besides Trixie when I was a kid. But I've definitely had a name to him. And an NT, I guess I talked about once in a video. But
so Caroline, the person that was born in this body, didn't give us any of our names. We were either created automatically with a name, or we chose the name for ourselves. Caroline did not choose them for us.
Yeah, that's kind of I mean, that's kind of all of them. I think it's kind of a weird, like, it's kind of like a weird thing to talk about. I feel like I've talked about it before, and I think I talked about D.I.D specifically before as just disassociating in general, like disassociating at the point of trauma in my life, disassociating like with dark times in my life. And I feel like I've been so in and out of disassociation with myself that I really have become, Trish has become all the personalities without even them coming to the forefront, if that makes sense. So I don't need to, I've seen people like do switches.
So there are external and internal alters. So obviously external alters, like me, are ones that front and come forward. And then there are internal alters that live purely inside of the mind and the body in the world that we have created for ourselves inside, and they never front. They are called internal alters. We do have one internal alter called Kitty Cat, which is a non-human, and she never ever fronts. She is an internal alter. So in that sense, that is true. But to me, it seems more like she's talking about, like, when she's on her own, she's a bit more down and lonely and eats. You know, when she's with her boyfriend, she's more sexual. And that's the type, one part of her personality. With her friends, she's like more outgoing and say likes to party and have a drink, and that's another type of a personality. But they can all be part of the same personality. So like my partner, he doesn't have DID, but how he acts with me when we're alone, and then how he acts when he's with his mates is completely different. And how he acts with his mates and me, and to how he interacts with his son, he is completely different. But they're not different people, they're just different parts of his personality. And I kind of think that she's taken these different parts of her personality that everyone has, and she sort of separated them. So the sexual part of my personality is a person, and the confident part of my personality is a person, and the sad part of my personality is a different person, when in reality they're all the same person. They're just different parts of that one person. As I've stated, I'm an alter and there are other alters, and not only do we have different personalities, we have different likes, different dislikes, different eating habits, different religions, different ages, different sexual orientations. We are our own individual people. We are, if you took multiple people, all different ages and sexes, have their own likes and dislikes, their own memories, and you make them share one body, that's DID. Not just taking different parts of your personality and creating a separate persona or ego for them. That is not DID. If you're understanding what I'm saying, I hope I'm not confusing you.
Sometimes I've switched, and it's Tyson or Tierney that'll always come out. Tierney can be really mean and harsh and just all of a sudden just hate the person in front of me, even if I, Trish, love that person, or, you know, and that's ruined a lot of my relationships. Tyson's very sensitive too, and will come out and start crying for literally no reason. And so those two boys have definitely been the downfall of a lot of my relationships. So some people call it bipolar, borderline, but it's really, to me, just multiple personality disorder, I guess. But
it sounds to me like she's got borderline personality disorder, not DID.
And it's how I deal with life, I guess. And I don't like scare anyone, because like Trish is here and all my alters love this. You know what I mean? And we all support like Trish. Like in a way, Trish means all of us, because she doesn't have her identity and she doesn't have a personality, and we help her, and we help her try and find her own. And sometimes
so I know DID is different from one system to the next, but the core person, the person that was born in like person that was born in my body, or the person that was born in another system's body, they do have their own personality. They are their own person. It's not like they don't have a personality. They do have their own personality. It's just that extreme traumatic things happen to them, and their mind couldn't cope or compute to what was happening with them, and so they dissociated to such an extreme that a whole new person was created to deal with the trauma that was happening, so that the original person, if you want to call it the original person, has no memory of that trauma of what has happened, so that they can grow up to lead a relatively normal life. So they do have their own personality. It's not like they're their own person with their own thoughts and feelings and likes and dislikes and memories. So as far as I'm concerned, within the aspects of our system, what she's saying there is completely wrong.
sometimes she finds something that's her own. Sometimes it goes away, and sometimes she'll find something else and it goes away or it stays. And it's just that like love thing is like the hardest, is to find someone to love through the disassociation, love through the switches. And part of me is like, maybe I'll never find someone like that. And that's okay. And I don't even know if like I said, I briefly dated a girl who had it, but she didn't really, like, I never saw her switches or anything, or her different personalities. So
you most definitely can have a relationship and a loving relationship with DID. I have a partner, as I've said. It's long distance. I only see him once a week, but we've been together over 4.5 years now. He does know all the different aspects of our personality. One of the personalities I believe he's never actually met, only ever spoken to. But he understands enough of the condition, and he loves each of us in his own unique way. So it doesn't mean he has sex with all of us, because he most certainly does not. He only has sex with me currently. He used to have sex with Lilith, but Lilith integrated into Caroline, and they're now called Alcine. Obviously we have a male alter. My partner is not bisexual or gay, so that's a friendship based relationship. We have a child alter. Obviously nothing sexual is going on there, and that's just gross. He's more of like a parental or father figure. He has that type of relationship. So there are people out there who can understand, and you can slowly work on your relationship so that the person can have some type of a relationship with the different parts of yourself. And I'm sure that there is somebody out there who will fall madly and deeply in love with her and love all the different parts of her personality and who she is as a person. And I really hope that that person finds her.
I don't know, but the thought of it is so scary. And then when I see the intensity of the people who do switch and who can just be, someone else, like visually, like, I don't know if I could date someone like that. So I don't know how I would expect someone to do that for me. But anyways, I just thought today was one of those days where it was more prominent for me that I've had T, Trixie, and Trish all come out. So I was like, you know what, let me just talk about it. It's something that, like, when Anthony Padilla brought it to light and like this girl's channels, I was like, you know what, it's something that people don't talk about, and I feel like it's something that actually a lot of people might deal with and maybe not know, or maybe it's not as serious or severe as other people's, and it's just like, oh, that's what it is. And I don't really like labeling myself anyways. People always like, oh, what Trish are we doing today? And I don't mind that. Like, okay, just think I'm crazy, or just, you know what I mean? And that's fine. And I'm sure after this video, people want Trish out, yes. But yeah, I don't know. And that's just, again, it's just me and the shell and the human body that we are is Trish, and that's fine by me, and it's fine by them, and I just give them names because I think of each of them as very important people in who I am, and who you guys, some of you guys like and love and relate to. And yeah, this is another really scary one to put out because, again, I don't want to offend anyone at all, or like
you have offended me,
fun or make light of. Some people think I make light of like Brittany's mental health. Like, that is the last thing I make light of. I have so many problems and so many issues, and I don't consider this a problem or an issue, really. I don't. It's really just us. It's just what it is.
People with mental health problems crazy. You've offended me.
It's just always scary, to be honest, and I just feel like saying your truth helps. When I watch those other people, I was like, oh, other people are like this too, and I just kind of get a lot of hate for it because maybe I present different people differently.
I like the adverts. How many does she want to stick in her videos?
Yeah, so anyways, I hope you guys, this is a very different video, but yeah, I hope I helped some people in some ways, and again, I mean no disrespect at all, ever, and maybe that explains a little more. I like to share a little bit more about myself, and this is something that maybe I wasn't even completely understanding of, and not even that I didn't think was even that big of a deal. Like, oh yeah, I have personalities and they have names, and like maybe it's just my imagination, maybe I'm just being creative.
Could be.
But they're real people and they're real personalities, and
alters aren't just personalities.
fabulous body. If Gibraltar could just stop eating sometimes.
Yeah, their own
Yeah,
thoughts,
no,
feelings, likes, dislikes,
There's
memories.
not a lot of sensitive alters, but definitely Tyson, definitely Gibraltar. They are very, 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 very sensitive. And Trixie, even though she's 10, she's pretty mature. So. Alright guys, that is it for today's video. And I will see you in the next one. Bye guys. Hey guys.
Right, okay. So, she says that she has D.I.D. The one thing that she did not mention at all in the entirety of that video was the amnesia. And channels like Dissociative and Multiplicity and Me and the others, they will all talk about amnesia because it is a major component of having D.I.D. The whole point of an alter being created in that moment of time is to deal with the trauma that is happening to that person at that time, and amnesia is a fundamental part of it that the alter puts up like a wall, like an amnesia wall or amnesia block, so they hold in all the feelings and the memories of that traumatic experience, and the alter holds on to that so that the original, I hate using that word, but the original person that was born in the body can lead a normal life not knowing what has happened to them. And yes, amnesia walls can break down and you can achieve what's called co-consciousness. So me and Caroline have what's called co-consciousness, whereas with me and Sebastian we still have them amnesia walls. When he comes out, for however long that he wants to come out for, I have absolutely no memory. I have no memory of where I've been, what I've done, who I've spoken to. It's just 1 minute, like I'm sat here on a computer, and the next thing I know, 2 days later, I'm waking up in the local park because Sebastian's decided that he's wanted to take Roseanne, the child alter, to the park to play on the swings, and I then 2 days have no memory whatsoever. And as far as I know, every single person that has D.I.D. has this amnesia until they either achieve what's called final fusion, where all the different alters fuse together with the main body to create one whole person, or that this system that doesn't want final fusion ultimately manages to create co-consciousness between all the alters, so that you don't have that amnesia anymore and you know what is going on. And that doesn't happen overnight. That takes many, many, many years to achieve, and many, many, many years in therapy to help you achieve that. It's not something that happens overnight, and some systems may work on final fusion or co-consciousness, whichever they decide to do as a system, and may work on it their entire lives and never achieve it. You don't have D.I.D. as far as I know, especially not with our system, that an alter is created and there is absolutely no amnesia whatsoever, because the whole point of the condition is to not only hide the fact that you have D.I.D. from the original person, it's to also hide and lock away the trauma that has happened as a coping mechanism, so the person can lead a normal life as what's possible for them. So I'm really surprised that she didn't talk about any of that. And she also called it a Meet My Alters video. I would not consider this a Meet My Alters video, because from what she was saying, that it was Trish or Trishay, I got very, very confused, was the one fronting in this video from start to finish. There was no switching, there was no switch of another alter coming out and then introducing themselves and saying, hey, I am this person, this is what I like, this is what I don't like. and then another switch, and then another alter coming out and going, hey, this is what I like and this is what I don't like. That's a meet my alters. This was more of get to know my alters sort of thing, and she's just talking about her alters. They're not actually front end, so you're not meeting them. So I think that the video is kind of titled wrong. Anyways, this is a very long video, and I kind of been having a problem of going off into rants. So I do apologise about that. And obviously you can go onto a channel and watch this video for yourselves. I would love to hear your opinions on the matter, and if there are any of you in the comment section out there that have this condition, you know, you want to talk about it, feel free. I will always be respectful, sympathetic, helpful, and if you ask me a question and I don't know the answer, I'm not going to give you false information. I'm just going to tell you, sorry, I don't know the answer to that. So I hope you all enjoyed this video, and please don't forget to subscribe. It only takes 1 second to hit that button, and I'll see you all in the next one, guys. Bye.